Sego Chuant Kwe. Thank you for your introduction, Ms. Pearson, and thank you to the PFC for inviting the Circle to be a part of this morning's top 5 presentations. Before I begin, it's our way to recognize the people of the lands who we gather, and I wish to say Nyawa to Chief Paul for his welcome. And also, it's also another way that we need to say hello to key people in the room that are close to our heart or push on for our good, our overall good. And so hello and thank you for coming, Justice Sinclair. I'd like to congratulate the organizers for understanding this acknowledgement that we're on Mi'kmaq territory is a reconciliation in action. It's actually an act that happened, and it's fitting for this talk today. As stated, my name is Wanda Brascoupé Peters, and as protocol states, I wish to share with you a bit about me. I'm a very proud Mohawk Algonquin woman. I'm a 45th grandchild to a woman by the name of Sarah Doxter. She was born in 1889, and I was lucky enough, she lived in my home, I lived in her home, and I was lucky enough to learn my traditional education from her. And has anyone ever wondered, I knew this was going to happen, and has anyone ever wondered why Native people do that, why we say where we come from, why we kind of share a little bit about ourselves? And it's the secret is, it's right off the bat, it gives us a clear understanding of who we are engaging with, and it gives the physical landscape of where we came from, who we are as a people, and how I might look at the one topic that we might discuss. And if in a meeting situation arises where things get a little bit uncomfortable, you kind of know where that person's going to be coming from. It gives you a little bit of a really great landscape. Our talk this morning surrounds philanthropy in action. Philanthropy in the area of Aboriginal people or Indigenous people of this land has increased participation over the past few years. And if many of you may or may not know it, actually, the Circle on Philanthropy and Aboriginal Peoples in Canada is in large part due to a session that occurred in the 2007 event in Montreal. After that session, that was convened by Stephen Huddard of the J.W. McConnell Family Foundation, and I wish to acknowledge him for standing with the Circle and actually kind of being one of the impetus of creating, as many of you are here. The Circle was created, and that is reconciliation in action. I often think of how philanthropy and Indigenous reciprocity can help change our present and mold our future. How these two actions can dovetail into each other to perhaps mend the past and move forward toward reconciliation. Philanthropy, as you know, means to promote the welfare of others and best can be described by the following words, and these are kind of my favorites, many do, but these are my favorites. Generosity, social consciousness, brotherly love, and my favorite, humanitarianism. Indigenous reciprocity is best defined as an integral part of the nearly universal Indigenous worldview. And what I mean by that is probably best said by Roberta Jameson, the CEO of Inspire. Excuse me. My child has a cold, and I think it's just starting right now. Who has said, Indigenous reciprocity is symbolic. The offering of tobacco ties to a sun dance, a hunter asking for permission from an animal before a kill, and a healer placing a tobacco on the earth before picking a plant. These are simple expressions of reciprocity. It is dynamic, it is constant, requiring an ongoing negotiations arising from a respectful relationship of mutual trust and the reassurance of mutual obligations. Giving and receiving with no purpose other than the bonding that comes from reciprocity. Successful partnerships between communities does not have to be misunderstood. As both views state, it is a simple act of bonding. How do we dovetail both of these approaches? Success in Indigenous philanthropy is achievable and is happening as we speak. Successful partnerships undertaken have ranged from small, local, incremental, to bold and national in scope, such as the 4 Rs and the Boldness Project in Winnipeg, But to highlight today, it's initiatives that have come between the Circle, McConnell, and other partners, including the Sprott Foundations, the TD Group, the Counseling Foundations, TIDES, and OTF, Ontario Trillium Fund. We launched this year a smaller project called the Ontario Indigenous Youth Partnership Project. And it's a small granting initiative for Indigenous youth across Ontario who wanted to make a change in their community on their terms, be it on reserve or in an urban setting, in the areas of health, wellness, and environment. The commonalities in action of success for these initiatives all stress the same key points, whether it's a small or large. The points are, first, approach each opportunity with mutual respect and understanding. We cannot underestimate the basic fundamental building blocks of creating trust with all partners. Second, reducing the emphasis on a transactional relationship, the grantee, the grantor, taking it out and creating frameworks to mutually learn from one another. This is the place where you can be creative and redesign a better wheel. It expands the dialogue and improves the outcomes for all. The third common action is to allow time for relationship building wherever possible. Yesterday we had our board meeting and the Community Foundation of Nova Scotia came in and told us this wonderful story of a beginning of an interaction between a First Nations man in this, I believe in this city, in this city, and the relationship with the Loretta Saunders Memorial Fund. And that, you know, I was really touched about that story, but at the same time, I thought to myself, what seeds have been planted for future for the community foundations of Nova Scotia and the Indigenous population. The fourth, I was already on the third. The fourth, I had the word consult. We hear about consult, you know. But there's a better term. It's to interact with community members when developing programming. As humans, we all have the desire to be heard, and in that collaborative state, transformation can occur. These four common actions had made a difference in dialogue, interaction, measurable outcomes, and lead us all toward the goal of reconciliation. As I close, I'm reminded Indigenous people from these lands are the youngest population that we have, and I'm here to tell you our future looks bright. I see it daily in my own daughter's 3 eyes and her friends and my family, and when I travel across country, people around us. Now again for your time and your willingness to listen.